So my name is Olga. I'm a solutions engineer at a company called Cloudflare. So basically, solutions engineer means that I find solutions for things that are broken. So basically try to fix them, but in my free time, I usually just break things. Right, so what I'm going to talk about is I want to talk about security and how you can improve the security utilizing serverless, right? So, if you don't know what Cloudflare is, maybe can I see the hands? Who knows what is Cloudflare? That's cool, that's good, nice. So because we proxy about 10% of the whole internet traffic, so you probably have seen it. And even if you don't know what it is, you probably, every fourth website is probably behind the Cloudflare. So we have a huge network. We started as a security company, so we focus mainly on SSL certificates, in the beginning, and the DDoS mitigation. But then we grew the whole network, Anycast network with caching and some performance products. So then eventually now we proxy 10% of the whole internet, and then we also figured that since we have this huge network with Anycast, we can as well just give our platform for the people just to run their code on. So, and because we know that the future is behind the serverless, right? So it's going to be serverless anyway. So if you think about the ways to run the code before this concept has been just brought into the light. So we had two places, right? We had a browser and we had a server. And Cloudflare usually would be sitting in between those two as a reverse proxy. But then we thought, okay, one is really close to the visitor but not secure, and then the other one is very secure because it's your server, you know exactly what is running there, but it's too far from the visitor. And with running the distributed network, we can basically bring the code close to the visitors. So typical case is Lambda at Edge, right? So I think at least some of you are using it and you know how that works. So so it would be easier for you maybe to understand how Cloudflare workers work. It's similar in a way that we get a request as we're a reverse proxy, so we will always get all the traffic first. Then we can run the JavaScript, so basically the script that you upload to us on our servers and on the server that is closer to the specific visitor. So we run the function, and then from this function we can either return something right away to the visitor, or we can do several sub-requests, or we can modify and then aggregate them and return it, or we can just do the magic and then just proceed to the origin server, right? If you're still at this phase. So so this is basically same kind of architecture, and then we thought, okay, so there are already some different tools like Lambda, like Azure is doing something. So we thought, okay, how do we want to be different and how should we build this kind of product? So we started with thinking about virtual machine and isolate, so what's the difference there? So basically we wanted to go with the isolate model because it would be much faster and it would be easier for us to run the hostile codes as we would think about those, because it can be code from different customers, right? So it can be something malicious potentially, and it's going to be running on our servers. So we need to protect ourselves and we need to protect our customers who is giving their code to us, right? So we thought about isolates because those are running within a single, so 1,000 of isolates can be run in a single process. So that means that we're able to switch in between those really quickly. We're able to spin those up really quickly, so I think it's under 5 milliseconds, and then we don't have to waste so much resources on this. So we thought, okay, let's use V8, which is basically the JavaScript engine from the Google Chrome, which has been around for 8 years probably, and it's also quite secure, right? Because Google was focusing on the security for those 8 years, because browser is the hostile environment, right? And we want to be sure that everything is safe. So we just took the V8 and from the browser basically and put it on our servers. So then you can also kind of call it the serverless security, like our default functions that we have. So we have many products. And when you use workers at the Cloudflare part, so you would always also go through all the other security features. And for you, as like an end user, it will be serverless, right? Because you don't deploy those, so you don't really care about the server that is running it. Usually those are on-off button. Right, so we would do the DDoS mitigation, the SSL, rate limiting, web application firewall, bot mitigation, which is the machine learning stuff, and only then we would run your worker. Right, so you will be sure that nobody will access it, like no malicious request will even access the workers in the first place. There are many use cases, so non-security ones are basically just some redirects, microservices, working with the cache, etc. But I think the most interesting is to talk about how you can actually either offload security if you are not ready to go full serverless, or how you can basically build the whole application in the serverless, implementing the security inside. So there is a guy called Scott Helme. Maybe someone of you know it. He's an owner of Report URI project and the securityheaders.com. So he's a heavy user of workers, and there was one project that he did about checking the security headers of the website. So this is a free website. You can just go there, just write your domain, and it will check. Do you have those like very, very basic security headers at place? So in some cases, so if you would want to deploy those security headers, what would you do, right? You need to either edit Nginx or Apache configs or do something on the server. But what if you have GitHub page? Or what if you use Heroku? Or what if you do some other serverless application, right? So in that case, if you're trying to migrate at least some functions, you could do this thing in the serverless, right? In the workers, for example, which would be just a couple of lines of code that will add the security headers into the request. So what Scott did here, so he defined the headers he wanted to add, basically appended those to the response, which the worker will return, and that was that. So maybe 30 seconds to, or not 30 seconds, maybe like 5 minutes to write this, and 30 seconds to deploy it, because everything you deploy in the workers takes 30 seconds to propagate across the whole network. And then again, if you need to edit some header, that's also quite quick to do. So another use case that we had with some customers is basically identifying and alerting on the loss of data. So one of the customers, they had such an idea of just doing the self-audit of security of their own infrastructure. So they identified specific keys or like passwords that should never leak the infrastructure. So what they did, they weren't intercepting the requests, but they were intercepting the responses from the origin server and looking, okay, has any of the strings been actually found in the, have they ever leaked the public, their infrastructure? And if so, because in the workers you can send different like post requests or basically any requests. So they would send a request to their PagerDuty, which would alert you that, hey, yeah, I found that this like the password has leaked. So could you please check this out? So another thing is another guy called Troy Hunt, who is also really cool. So he has this huge database of the leaked passwords. So very, very typical passwords, plus some like open databases of those passwords. And he has the API handler. So with the workers, what he did, again, like just a couple of lines of code, basically just detecting, sending an API code with the password field, because as Cloudflare is the reverse proxy, and we do handle SSL as well, so we decrypt all the traffic, then it goes through all the security, then it comes to the worker. That means that you can actually, in the worker, you can see the insides of the packet, right, or of the request. So then we can take the password, send it to the API, check, hey, is this password in this database, and then get a response. And what we did here is basically just add a header that if the password is in the database or no, and that header will go to the origin server. Then you can do something else with it on the origin. But again, like for example, you could do like PagerDuty or some login system, anything. So another thing is also quite common is authorization and authentication. So you can actually do, if you have like a paid content and you want to do something customized, so based on a cookie the user has, you can bring the different content or reroute the traffic somewhere, right? And also, like by default, it's stateless, but we also have a Kiwi value store, which is now in beta. Because you know like how difficult it is to work with databases or anything, like any kind of storage in this kind of scenario. But we are trying to deploy this key value storage across all the networks, so it would also be spin up and distributed wherever it's needed, right? So also on every single data center. So to make it stateful, you can basically use this Kiwi storage and write the IDs or tokens or something that you need to basically identify and authenticate authorized users. And this is an example of an API. So this is an API gateway. Again, so really simple check for the token, if it's valid or invalid, that takes from the Kiwi value store by just this token store. This is the namespace of the Kiwi, and then .get that basically gets the value from the store. And then we have the curl command, which the user will be sending with the token ID, etc. And that's the so that's what he will send and what he will receive. Basically, the authorization to come in. Right. Okay. So did I mention that I love to break stuff? So I broke the demo, but then I thought that I did the same demo for another talk in Amsterdam. So I thought that I will show you the recording, and it's going to be almost as good. So in the demo, I want to show the project that I made. So I'm not a developer, like I'm far from development. But then I like to maybe just fool around with some new things. So I thought, okay, so I have my demo website, and I want to have like a login page for the admins. And when an admin comes, I want to get notified in the Telegram messenger, which is like WhatsApp. But I want to get notified if the admin logs in from the office. Yeah, I just want to know that the person is in. But if the admin logs in from anywhere else, like from any other network, I want to approve them manually. I want to know, like for example, person is accessing, like admin is accessing from China. That's weird. I want to know, and I want to approve it manually. Okay, so what I did, and yeah, hi guys, you're now in Benelux e-crime. But what I did is I also combined. So this is the website, and this is the Telegram messenger. And I also decided to combine two different products. So I used Workers, and I also used a product called Access, which basically looks like this. Access is authentication at the edge. So I want an admin to first authenticate with their own credentials, and then I want to get notified in the Telegram and approve them manually if needed. So, and you can see that the access is located on a completely separate link, so it's not on the origin server, right? So this is the authentication page that we give before we even start talking with the origin server. Or you may not have origin server, it may be just the worker behind it which is given the application. And you can integrate it with different identity providers. So for example, like G Suite or something, or the very simple one that I did for the demo is just by email. So I want to input my email, and then Cloudflare will send me the key to my email, and then I will input it, and I should get in. Right. I also have GitHub, but that's not a very good one. Cool, and this is quite fast, so I don't think I have it recorded, but basically I got the email to my phone, and then I input the code, and log in, and await an authorization. And you can see on the right part that right away the worker has sent, because I set up a webhook with Telegram, so it basically immediately sent the message to the Telegram, and then you need to reply because you need to know to which message you're actually replying, because there may be like several logins at the same time. Yeah, and I write approve, and then I can get into the website. And it will give out a cookie, which is also scripted in the worker. That cookie will basically, and you can also set the TTL, right? So, and this cookie will give me an ability to then log in and log out, so maybe close the website and then open it again, and then be able to proceed because I have the clearance cookie. And because we also had the access in front, it's going to be another cookie. So you need to have like 2 different cookies in order to be able to browse this website easily. Okay, yeah, so the second part that I was showing is basically I would clear everything and I would do a small modification to the script. So I would actually add the IP address that I want to bypass the worker part, the worker authentication part. So I would clear all the tokens. Otherwise, it would just get stuck. And it's like today I learned that you should never think about doing a live demo, because I just completely broke my Telegram webhook. And I don't know how to fix it. So this is actually how the editor looks like. It's not an editor. I actually like to think about this as a preview. So I would still write everything in like Visual Studio Code and then just upload it here through either API or copy paste if it's fine. But basically, so I can do any modification. So I just change the IP based on what I had at the moment. And then when I click save, the usual deployment is under 30 seconds, which is also like, it's really cool, I think. Right, so then I try to log in again, and I would also go through the access first, and then I would go to the worker authentication. Oh, then I would not go to the worker authentication because there was an IP. Yes. Are you ready to know the answer? Yay! So yeah, basically, if you will check, the new cookie has been added, and I got a message to the Cloudflare workers that somebody from the internal network, so basically the network that you know, has logged in. And this is just a demo, and I don't have, I had plans to extend this kind of script. So if you look at it here, that's what I have. So it's not that big, actually. But I also have lots of notes here because there is so much more to do. So I also have some encryption of the tokens, so how I encrypt and decrypt them every time to basically check that, yes, that's the same. So that comes from the correct Telegram group, and like doing all the various confirmations. And then also, we have like the secret storage. So I have here like do secret storage, which is basically the vault. So I wouldn't have to store secrets in the plain text. So yeah, all of this is doable. So this is kind of like a security feature or security implementation that you can do. Right. So basically, conclusion is that even if you're not ready to fully go to the serverless, at least you should probably start offloading at least some features. So get in there slowly, because that's definitely the future. yeah, oh, 5 minutes. What am I going to do for 5 minutes? No, but I think that, yeah, you guys are probably eager to go to the break. Although I have one last thing. So, question: does anybody know how Cloudflare is generating random numbers? Oh my God! This is okay. You were first. Lava lamps. Yeah. Okay. I will give you a T-shirt. Come back to the stage. And the last thing that friendly guys from upstairs asked me to remind you all is that Lumigo is doing the raffle about now. So if you participated in the raffle and you want to win the Echo Dot, just go upstairs. Yeah. Thank you very much.